close to you so you can tolerate it. Alright? So, okay, so just sort of relax into this, and you might want to start wherever you want to start. That could be on that script, or you can talk a little bit about who you are and what you're trying to do. Okay?
Sounds good. Just tell me when to start right now, or
We're
just playing.
Completely fluid production.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Callahan of 12Stepology. Welcome to the 12Stepology YouTube channel, a community dedicated to supporting individuals on the journey to recovery from addiction, codependency, and behavioral health disorders, trauma. Our channel is committed to providing informative and supportive content that can help you find inspiration, guidance, and strength to overcome your struggles. We offer a variety of videos that cover a range of topics related to addiction and recovery, including personal stories of recovery, tips of overcoming addictions, and insights into the 12-step programs. Our channel also provides access to various resources, links, and helpful websites, books, and support groups. If you find our content helpful, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. By doing so, you help support our community and extend our reach to others who may be seeking support on their journey to recovery. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope that our content inspires you and you find strength and support that you need to overcome challenges. So please like and subscribe our channel and help us to grow and reach more people. So
this is serving two purposes. One, A, to do something.
Right.
Moving forward in this.
Right.
One. B, I'm also testing equipment and setup.
Right.
And B, and C, you're in the seat, getting into the energy and the vibe that you ultimately want.
Which is a calm, actually. I have a lot of calm.
You have a good calm today. So, and that you take home and edit to your heart's delight. And I can update it. But,
right, and I'll play with it for sure.
I mean, it's got to be your voice, your language, your intention. This is just, a springboard.
Right, which I'm grateful for you working with me on.
So, while we have this going, by the way, I'm streaming on YouTube privately, so no one's seeing this. I'm also recording you here. So let me ask you a few questions. So what inspired you to start 12Stepology?
The inspiration for me in 12Stepology came after hitting numerous bottoms in my first 12-step program, AA. It gave me a great foundation for the physical sobriety. However, I kept hitting bottoms in relationships. I kept hitting bottoms with work. I kept hitting bottoms with personal relationships, with friends, and was seeking more. And so by seeking more, I ended up in Al-Anon, men's Al-Anon groups, ACA, and then also CODA. And so what I discovered is that each piece of each specific 12-step program was missing a piece. And what I found over the years for emotional sobriety, which I found a lot of happiness, which also gave me the honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness to reach out to other recovery methods that I've learned, is that what's missing in these meetings a lot is that individual meetings want to be their own thing. They don't want to share about the other programs. They want you to be specific, which I get to an extent. However, I believe that somehow, some way, which is why I brought 12Stepology together. Let's bring it together. Let's bring it to, if you're in AA and you're having issues in AA and you want to move on with emotional sobriety, then you can go into, one of the greatest for me, one of the strongest addictions is people. And we get addicted to people, and it's really a strong addiction. And so, so you go from alcohol, we go from addiction to addiction, and you go from, for me, it was from alcohol to drugs to people to control, and so by me putting this together over the years, I found a little bit of peace in each program. And in each program I would go to, I would hit a ceiling on or a bottom out or hit a bottom again and still be seeking more. It wasn't quite enough. I wasn't quite there. There wasn't quite the complete peace that I was looking for. And what I've also realized that the 12 Steps helped me in other programs, take for instance ACA, took me into the depths of, which I talk about a lot now, is trauma. Gabor talks about trauma. Russell Brand talks about trauma. And it's one of the leading causes for basically all addictions. So when I started ACA, I knew that I had a painful journey to do, to go back into the childhood and go back into the PTSD. When I first started, I actually felt ashamed to say I had PTSD because I thought that was only something that, veterans had that had been to war. And little did I realize that, I kind of grew up in a little battlefield of physical and emotional abuse. And I got to learn about.
So, for some, ACA is the Affordable Care Act. What do you mean by ACA?
Oh, adult children of alcoholics or dysfunctional families. I should have been specific on that. It's just been a deep journey with that. It's taken me in and it's taken me back to the work that I've done, the 12 steps through that. I can go back into my childhood now and see a lot of the fun stuff that I did and a lot of the positives that happened. And did I mention EMDR? EMDR has helped me a lot to go back to that trauma and it's released through specific incidents that happen, and that's been really helpful for me too, to go back and remember a trauma and not hit that trigger mode that releases the cortisol that something's still wrong, which our amygdala's responsible for, also sending that message. So what that's done for me is I found a peace in that, and I found that I could step out of victimhood, and I found that there's a loving inner parent, and that there was a critical parent that used to beat me down. And there's still a critical parent, but it's not a critical parent that beats me down. It's one that directs me. It's a loving direction that brings me in. Which comes into another, not conclusion, but a circle that continues to happen, because I spoke, last night, and I was a speaker, and I got to share all of this, and it's interesting to see the younger generation wants to hear this, and wants to hear that there's a solution for trauma, a solution for the pain, that they can obtain. And so, I came into the final program of CODA, and CODA's taught me to, and ACA and Al-Anon has taught me to let people be who they are, that I'm powerless over people, I'm powerless over control over people. And by doing that, I'm empowered over myself to be free to be who I am. And so.
And what is CODA? Is that for coders?
Oh, CODA, I should be specific. Codependence Anonymous is it's people who are codependent on other people. It's for codependents. It's people who are codependent, and so in short, they named it CODA.
And codependents are addicted to others?
Codependents are addicted to others, addicted to the control of others. Some of my strongest addictions were to old girlfriends, friends, work. And so, along in CODA, there's stuff that we learned, character traits in our childhood that would save us, is humor, which I still love humor. But character traits is people pleasing and approval seeking. the nice guy syndrome. That's brought me to a piece where, and that's where there's defects of character and there's character traits. And the character traits part of that is I have the people pleasing, yet I can still be a kind person and people please as long as I know that it's not being self-serving of myself or expectations of that little endorphin rush that you get, when we do something kind for somebody. It's in a roundabout way, I found a lot of peace in that. But the other thing that 12-Stepology is about is not just the 12-step programs. It for me, what I'm going to share in a lot of stuff that's coming up is going to be a lot of stuff about Eckhart Tolle and Miguel. Oh my gosh, his name is slipping me. I can look it up because we're just on film. Anyways, it was the 5 agreements with Don Miguel Ruiz and Michael Singer, who has been real beneficial, and Gabor, which leads me back to the other piece that I share, and this is controversial, but it's fine because I'm finally going to come out with it. I'm going to share it. I've never had luck with any kind of, and I'm not knocking antidepressants. I've never had luck with antidepressants. And so, but there was a raw side that was not treating my trauma as deep as I wanted to go. So for me, I went to a ceremony in Mexico and did the ayahuasca, which led into a weekend of ayahuasca, psilocybin mushrooms, a sweat lodge with psilocybin mushrooms, and then finally 5-MeO, another type of DMT, which completely blew my ego out of the water, completely brought me to, and still continues today, heals me on the inside, and has done a lot of healing, I believe, for the brain and the mind from childhood stuff. It's been a beautiful thing for me. It opened me up more. It let me find the love. It let me walk through the darkness. And it's given me a way of life that, I have a great life today. And it's not something I go out and do every day. I haven't become addicted to it. I also believe that microdosing psilocybin mushrooms is a wonderful thing. It's not the end-all, answer-all. I also believe in the microdosing of marijuana, which is a no-no in AA. But you know what? I've been doing this. I'm coming up on 35 years of sobriety without alcohol and without meth, without coke, all the stuff that, to me, I call the devil's drug. It's been 35 years for me. So, and I consider myself sober, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Are there ups and downs? Yes, there's a lot of ups and downs. But the overall, what this package is going to bring is that I want to bring in, discussions with people and people's opinion and interaction with other people, and I want to address, the mental health that we were talking about. I want to address suicide. I want to address with men the shame that we carry and what it's like to be a real man. And not what we were brought up in or what society still tries to portray. It's okay for us to be vulnerable. It's okay for us to cry. It's okay for us to have a deeper intimacy with ourselves, to go deeper into another relationship with another person. And what I could share in my relationship today is like I'm with a person who has enlightened me to go deeper into loving myself and working on myself, which in turn has made us go deeper in our relationship. And I call it the most dysfunctional relationship I've ever been in, because there's always dysfunction. So we learn to love ourselves, the good parts of ourselves, and we love the parts that they say are bad side of ourselves. I say that's the wounded part of ourselves, the dark side of it. We just love ourselves overall. And so, that's what I want to bring to the table with this. And I want to share this with everybody because it's just not there. It's this isn't a diss on AA, but like AA's lost its steam in trying to help people out because it's not really addressing trauma. And I think it has it's like I shared last night. It was a great foundation for me, set me up in the steps. What do the steps do? They teach me accountability. They teach me accountability to the self. They teach me to reach out and help others. They teach me to get a closer contact with my loving higher power, and so by doing that, that's my drug of choice now, sharing this, with everybody that I can. And, over the years, I've watched dead ends in different programs, and I'm not blaming a program. I'm just blaming that the information wasn't there of people committing suicide. And men committing suicide because they were afraid to share their shame. They were afraid to share their dark side because, as men, we always think everything's all right, or we share that with people, like I'm fine, everything's good, and which leads me to there's so many openings that I've had. I got initiated in the Mankind Project in 2002, and that was a eye awakening for me, that brought me into my manhood, and that's something that we lost in our civilization and our growing up, as we lost that transition from a boy to a man. No one showed us, gave us that initiation. And you see it you see it in the Indian culture, you see it in actually the Jewish religion does it, which is awesome. There's a lot of religions that do it, but overall, for us in America, that got lost, and there's not that healthy teaching of what it's like to become, to go to a boy to a man. Which brings me to, Boys to Men San Diego, which has become a worldwide organization, and that was started by two close friends of mine, Joe Segerson and Craig McLean. How to, this is what it's like to become a man, and this is what we go through to be a man, and this is what, you teach them, you give them an honor. They're actually christened with the sword, when they go into their manhood, and to see this, to be able to put your heart on a young man and tell him he's a beautiful human being, that he's a beautiful man, it's you can't buy it. It's just such a healing process and a gift that we give these boys to become men. That's what all this is about. There's so much to this, and there's so much to give away, and so many. It's for everybody. So the beautiful part from the Boys to Men is that these guys have half a chance. And then they can keep growing from there. So there's so many. That's the whole thing with 12Stepology. It's not, I have the one answer. Here's the one, it's so funny to watch society sometimes, or maybe it's not funny. It's like the one thing that saved me, like this religion saved me, or this religion saved me. It's a whole combination of different ways of life that we learn, or different. Wish I could put this into words. How to put this all together is a puzzle. Are puzzle pieces that keep moving, and that we keep moving inside. Yet the common purpose, and the simplicity of it is that it's a simplicity of the AA program. We clean house, we trust in God, we clean house and work with others. Is the simplicity of it, and any spiritual walk of life that really they teach us to be humble, to be of service, to give, because that's the ultimate, that's the ultimate peace that'll bring us happiness, and it's not perfect. We don't always have happiness. We're not always at peace. We still walk into those shadows where there's darkness, and there's the inner critic that beats us down, and there's the rabbit holes that say, I should be here. I should be successful. I should be retired. I should have property, which I have none of. But I have an endless amount of spirituality. It's just incredible. It just keeps going on and on and on. And I think the part, especially this past year, and I believe it's the way I eat. I believe it's the medicine, the medicinals. I believe it's the steps. I believe it's prayer. I believe it's intention. I believe it's crystals. We've surrounded ourselves with crystals. There's so many healing crystals out there. So it's putting all together and just focusing on a positive energy to get out of that dark and that pain that we've always wanted to get out of. And I it's not that I believe, I just know for sure that trauma causes all addiction because we want to be numbed. And for me it was alcohol, and then it was drugs, and then it was cigarettes, and I quit smoking, and then it was sex, and then it was food, and then it was video games, Call of Duty. I mean, you don't see a 40, 50-year-old playing Call of Duty screaming and yelling at teenagers, but I loved it because I checked out. And I would think I was playing for a half hour, and it was 4 hours later. So it was a checkout. I didn't have to be in that reality of that pain of who I was, and that constant negative person telling me who I was and what I was about. And it still can happen today. I can get looking on my phone too much in Facebook. I watch my screen time on my phone now because it's like, it goes from 2 hours to 6 hours to 7 hours a week, and I'm trying to get that back down to a few hours a week. So there's addictions everywhere because we want to soothe that. And this is the way that I choose for soothing is 12Stepology. And lately I've had a passion of wanting to put that out there. Wanting to put this on YouTube. What's held me back? Same thing. The negativity. You're a failure. No one's going to want to hear this. You're going to make a mistake. There's going to be people who don't like you. But then there's also the one thing that brings me in pure focus of that. If I reach one person that doesn't commit suicide, or one person that is in deep addiction, and they find their way to the light, then I've succeeded. Just with one. That's it. And if I can reach more than one, great. And that's how this thing works. That's how this thing was designed. We pass it on to the next person. We pass it on to the next person. It's like a pay it forward. So it's like, it's just a beautiful thing.
So time. So coming up on 22 minutes. So why don't you think about, this might even be useful.
Right.
You might even be able to use this.
Right.
So I would say, leaning towards a wrap here, you would say, something like, bottom line, 12Stepology is a mashup of popular 12-step programs, and if you relate in any way, shape, or form to my journey, I invite you to come along, and you do that by subscribing to me on Twitter, which 12Stepology is the Twitter handle, and follow this channel, okay? And then you just wrap it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I key it off with, so what am I saying here? Okay. 12-step, it's a mashup. And if you identify with my journey, I invite you to contribute, to participate, and contribute.
I love that. That's a great piece to put in there. That this is culminated as a result of my journey.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my journey, and I want to share it with you because I'm finally happy. I'm healthy. I mean, I'm. That's like a joke. Right. No, but I'm happy and I'm healthy and I'm not year after year, and I should knock on wood. I go to the doctor and I'm healthy, and and the yoga is the big piece that I'm going to, which the other piece I forgot to share about that is there's the Bikram's yoga, which is a huge piece, which is great for people with ADHD because it's moving meditation. So you're just constantly moving to the next thing, and then you're moving to the next thing. And today, for me, it was a practice of the storyteller kept trying to come in today, and it was like, and this is how it works to bring us. This is what brings us unhappiness, and this is what I love about the four agreements is, and I've added to it, is that we have the storyteller that tells us a story, and then the storyteller gets a hold of the victim, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a victim, and then the judge comes in, and the judge makes the judgment, and then we have the tyrant who decides, well, I'm sharing my piece. This, how dare you, talk to me, or how dare you do this to me, and so then we punish, and we get caught in that circle, and a lot of times it had nothing to do with nothing, a story that the storyteller had just made up in our brain. And it's the false mind, it's the false self, and the believing of that. So being able to, so I got to shut it down over and over today in yoga, and like, yeah, I'm not in, I'm just not in, and it kept shooting stories. And then finally, I was completely focused on my yoga, and it's pure heaven. It's 110 degrees. You're focused. I go inside. I get to tell myself I love myself. I get to tell myself again over and over that deep inside of all of this that you're doing right now in this slow motion is there's a stillness. And like Eckhart Tolle says, stillness speaks, which is another place that Inner Child Tribe and 12Stepology came from, is a meditation while I was in yoga. So it's a very interesting piece to how it started, and it just was a drive that kept going inside of my heart. I just didn't know where to put it or how to share it. And a lot of times, and it takes time. It's just a lot of times I'll share this stuff in AA and they look at you like you're a kook, which I am, but they don't get it, and I believe there's a certain brainwash that's healthy in the program, and I believe there's a certain brainwash that's not healthy. And, part that needed to be brainwashed in me was the corrupt part of me that was, the liar, the cheat, and the thief that went away with, before I got sober, you could trust in not trusting me. You could count on not counting on me. And where I sit now, you can trust me, you can count on me. I show up, and I'm a person who's willing to listen and to walk somebody else down the same path. That's just if they have the willingness. So that's the whole piece to it too. And to continue to polish, I can continue to polish this up by reaching out. And my gratitude to you, Greg, for sticking through this. You watched us both grow over the years with this. I think our first one was 2010 with, I don't know what I think it was Godbox. I don't know what it was, but then we did 12Stepology, and we picked that up for a while, and I think what had to happen was it needed to cure like a fine wine or like a cheese. It was too raw, but then, as life goes on, you go, okay, now I really, really do have something to offer. There is a peace. Is it the perfect nirvana? No. Is it the perfect for the perfect utopian society? No, but it's a step towards it. It's a step towards it. The other thing that the other programs have taught me is to be kind and take no shit, which has been a big piece for me also. And listening, a lot of listening, truly listening to someone else when they're sharing, and that's what this whole thing's about, and being at peace. Like Eckhart Tolle shares, it brings joy, and where there's joy, it brings peace, and where there's peace, it brings unconditional love, which a good friend of mine brings it even closer, that we lost a while back, Harry. There's only one love. And so all these pieces that are whirling around as puzzle pieces come together, and it brings us to the one, to that peace, which is fleeting. It'll come for a while, and then our corrupt computer or corrupt brain will tell us all the reasons why we shouldn't be at peace. This happened or that happened. There's always going to be an excuse to be unhappy. And that's the other thing that I've learned is the corrupt mind's always looking for a way to be unhappy because for some reason there's addictive part inside of us that likes that cortisol, the little cortisol junkie inside. However, more and more I'm more liking the endorphins that are coming, and oxytocin that comes with it, and I'm getting more addicted to that. Giving it away, and actually truly being happy. That's kind of my start.
Boom. It's a wrap. Okay.